It's possible to get a law school to pay you up to $200,000 to enroll because of one number on a public spreadsheet and what that number does for them. Today, I'm going to share with you why every law school in the country is trapped within this framework and how a small number of applicants follows that framework, walks out with a free ride, and lets everybody else pay a sticker. Now, I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005. I read those American Bar Association filings that most applicants never even open. And the most useful thing I can tell you about how admissions works is this. Your LSAT score is the most important part of your application. Law schools don't really care how you reason. They care what your LSAT score does for their numbers. Now, every spring, the national US News Law School rankings come out. Every law school in the country gets sorted top to bottom. And that order, that ranking, it moves money, applications, and which admissions deans still have a job in the fall. Now, you would assume the LSAT score is what those rankings care about the most, but that's actually not the case anymore. Back in 2022, Yale and Harvard Law School walked away from the US News rankings. They withdrew, they refused to participate, and within weeks, dozens of other schools followed. US News blinked, they rewrote the formula, they cut the weight of your LSAT score from about 11% down to 5% and shifted more weight onto jobs and bar passage rates. And so the LSAT mattered less, at least that's what everybody assumed, but they were wrong. The LSAT matters just as much as it ever has, if not more. Because imagine it from the admissions dean's perspective. Their rankings slipped, applications are down, the board wants a plan by next Friday. And so what can you actually fix before the fall? You can't move your bar passage rate in a year. Graduate employment numbers take several years to turn around. Respect from judges and professors moves even slower than that. But there is still one number you can move in a single cycle. It is your median LSAT score. That's the middle score of your incoming class. Half of the students are above it, half are below it. Now you move that number by buying it. You find applicants with high LSAT scores and you hand them scholarship money to choose your school. That is the lever. So while the LSAT may have less weight on paper, the schools still chase it harder than ever because it's the only thing they can change in the short term before next year. A school can't buy a better bar passage rate by the fall, but it can buy your LSAT score, the one you've already earned. That is the whole game. Now, every law school with ABA accreditation has to publish something called a 509 report. It's required, it's public, you can get it for free, and it lists three numbers: the 25th percentile, the median, and the 75th percentile LSAT score of the class they just enrolled. You can look it up right now. You can Google X Law School 509, and let's say it reads 165, 168, and 180. That's their 25th, their median, and their 75th. If you walk in with a 171 LSAT score, you are above their 75th percentile. You just made their number go up, and so you're worth money to them now, and the report says it right there. Which means every admissions dean knows exactly what every rival's medians are down to the point. And they know the exact score they need this cycle to climb, to hold, or to stop sliding. So that report is the spreadsheet that runs the whole game. It turns medians into a public scoreboard that no school can hide from. And it locks every school into the same game. Let's say a dean wanted to stop chasing scores. They wanted to build a class on work experience or writing ability or sheer grit. They can't. The second their median drops, their scoreboard number drops, and their rankings drop, their applications drop, and 3 years later, that dean is updating their resume and their LinkedIn profile. So the schools, they aren't evil here. They're stuck in a system, and they've got to hit a number. But that's good number news for you as the applicants. The best leverage you ever have, you're holding the one thing they are forced to buy. The schools are in a trap to keep their numbers up. And what that means for you is there is free money on the table. If your score lands above a school's median, you pull up their median just by enrolling. You make their scoreboard number climb. If you land above their 75th percentile, you are pure profit for their stats. So they will compete for you. They will offer you cash. They'll give you half tuition, full tuition, sometimes a full ride with a stipend on top to make sure you pick them over the school down the list running the same math. If you're below their median, you get mostly nothing because you're going to drag their number down. That's the wrong direction. But if you're above their 75th percentile, you are in real negotiation territory and the offers get better and better. And even just a few points more, is worth more than you might guess. At the top of the market, by my read at least, 5 points on the LSAT can swing $50,000 to $150,000 in scholarship money over the course of 3 years. Sometimes more, because those points move you out of the will take you pile to the will take you and pay you pile. That's the top of the market, not the average. Most applicants are not going to see six figures, but even a single point at the right school is worth real money. Let's make it concrete. I worked with somebody a couple cycles back, scored a 163 the first time, solid number, gets you in plenty of places, but with no money attached. That student retook, hit a 169, same person, same GPA, same essay, same recommenders, only 6 more points, went from $0 at the target school to a full ride. That's around $230,000 across 3 years of law school for just getting 6 points more on one test. Now, keep in mind, a scholarship comes off the sticker price, not the real cost. 2 schools can both offer you half tuition, but leave you with completely different bills once you consider living costs and what the degree actually pays back. The score gets you the offer, but you've got to read the offer right. Consider all the factors that go in, including the living expenses based on the location where you are going to law school. Now, the top of the score chart is getting crowded. High scores used to be rare. A 170 made you a unicorn a couple years ago, but the LSAT changed back in 2020 with the pandemic, changed again in 2024 with the removal of the logic games section. And now there are more and more people walking in with 170s and 175s than seats at the top schools can hold. For reference, a 170 used to put you in the top 3%. Now it puts you in the top 5%. Used to be that you would get you'd be in the top 1% with a 173. Now you've got to get a 175 to be in the top 1%. And so when high scores are everywhere, the price of standing out climbs. The schools that bought a partial scholarship at a strong school 3 years ago might buy nothing today. You've got to get a higher score. The free money didn't vanish, of course. Schools are still paying it, but the bar to reach it has risen. You've got to get a higher score just to stay in competition. And so if you're applying in the next couple of years and you think you're okay with a 165, look at the most recent meetings, look up the current ABA 509 reports for the most recent data. The score inflation with the LSAT as well as the GPA inflation means the game has changed. And of course, the schools still want to buy the numbers, but they're going to want higher numbers than in the past. And if you want my help getting the highest LSAT score possible, getting into better law schools, getting more scholarship money, I'm happy to help you out. I'm offering free LSAT tutoring for everybody watching this now and later. Open offer. You can book that free tutoring lesson with me personally at unpluggedprep.com/start. The link is below the video on YouTube, pinned in the chat on YouTube, in my bio on TikTok and IG.